Margaret Kuhlman of Soul Astrology. Looking at this new moon in Scorpio chart, the first thing I notice is actually Venus in the very last degree of Sagittarius. At the last new moon, which was in Libra, we had Venus in the last degree of Scorpio. So once again it feels like we're almost completing something. Within a few hours of the new moon, Venus will go into Capricorn, and our relating will be much more practical, grounded, potentially helpful, whereas this last month we will have been sharing ideas more about the enjoyment of being together, and it still casts its light over this coming month, especially because Mercury is at the very end of Libra, and they are sextile. So it's very much about what we say, how we communicate. Lots of love, lots of openness and positivity. Mercury has been going to and fro in Libra for the last 2 months, because we had it for a period retrograde, which is a long time to have Mercury in one sign. And in Libra you have the scales, the trying to balance one thing in another, while actually, of course, the whole point about the scales is that you have two to balance against each other. The Sun's been in Scorpio for quite a few days already, and the Sun being the heart of us, the heart of any situation is represented by the Sun. It's as though we feel ourselves needing to go deeper than just battling against each other with words. And this new moon, what is really striking about it is that opposition exact between the Sun and Moon and Uranus. We've been made aware of Uranus all year, with Saturn in the sign squaring it. So we know about changes, sudden changes, things you can't rely on. The magician whipping the carpet out from under your feet, the tablecloth off the table, and yet somehow leaving all the pieces still there. So we don't quite know whether we're coming or going. But with this opposition, it's drawing attention to the need to allow that change has happened, is happening, and will continue to happen. Not just any changes, but changes to our very lifestyle, the way we do things, the food we eat, and the supply chains that enable that. Scorpio is about all underlying things. Because they're underneath the surface, they tend to be spoken of as in darkness, as though awareness itself is light. But it's important to not get confused between what is unconscious and what is dark. We are unconscious of many beautiful things, but Scorpio tends to point to those things that are hidden deep, the bottom of the ocean, where understanding comes by feel rather than thinking. This is emphasized in this chart because of Mars also being in Scorpio, and the Scorpio planets there squaring Saturn. In fact, the Sun squared Saturn last week. Mars will square Saturn next week, 10th of November. So feelings running high, counter to restrictions, regulations, authority figures. Quite a clash. However, Saturn sextiles Chiron in Aries, Aries ruled by Mars. So it may be that the rules, the authority figures, actually change, pay attention to the needs. There's so many different ways this can go, and one thing we can count on is surprise. At the full moon, as the full moon is in Taurus, the sun's still in Scorpio. Mercury making his way through Scorpio, Mars still in the middle of Scorpio. It's as though this month is giving us a taste of how it will be when the nodes of the moon change sign in January. They go backwards very slowly, spending a year and a half in each sign. And the south node is shifting from Sagittarius, where humanity has been expanding its understanding enormously, seeing the bigger picture for all the things that we didn't know were there before. It moving back into Scorpio means that we all will have to delve a whole lot deeper into everything. While Pluto continues in Capricorn, there needs to be no stopping the depth to which we are prepared to go. We need to know all that's going on. We need to appreciate everything that we lean on. We need full awareness of how things work for humanity, or otherwise we are not in a position to give what people are calling informed consent to anything. So we are finding out, and we will have to continue going deep to find out what's down there. Pluto digs as deep as is necessary to get out the last root of the poisonous plants. And at the full moon, there is a trine to Pluto, a sextile from Pluto to the Sun and Mercury. So this chart suggests that we will be in harmony with that need to go deep willingly. One thing I feel is very important to bear in mind, and particularly during this month, with Jupiter very square to the end of Scorpio and to the end of Taurus, we tend to have big extremes. Jupiter emphasizes everything that it touches, but it exaggerates when it's square. And in Aquarius, it could be the exaggeration. It's positive, but too positive. And so the thing to watch out for is that we don't get completely discouraged, disheartened, if things don't work out according to how we would have wanted as soon as we want. It's going to take a bit more time. While Jupiter has been in Aquarius all this year and continues until the end of December, our ideas about how people should be governed have become more and more open, accepting of individuality. The principles of natural law are rising in people's minds. The law that allows us to be the way we are, as long as we don't harm anyone else. So its work in Aquarius is being completed for a while, and then next year it moves into Pisces, and in and out of Pisces and Aries. A very interesting cusp there, very spiritual, but on the other hand individual. The vacillation in a way between the all of us, the whole of humanity, and the individual, which is actually what we each are. It's not the whole of humanity that looks, it's each individual out of their own eyes. And it's a strange paradox that we are having to live with. Best thing accept all of it as being there. Not to approve necessarily, but to accept its being. Only when we really accept that something's there can we do anything about it. I hope I have been clear, insofar as one can be. The letter that I've written may be clearer. Thank you for listening and for reading, if you do, and enjoy the contemplation. Have a good month. What is already light created will be. Your job is to be awake to it. Be there with us, rather than struggling with a bad dream. It is the last ridge of this mountain, and you can climb it. We reach our hand down to help lift you, but the material world is heavy and drags at your feet. Look down to what holds you back and shake it off. Our hearts are one with yours. There is no difference. Here are all those you have loved who you think have left you, and we too are loved and held by those who hold you now. Never allow yourselves to be disheartened. True light banishes the shadows, but there will always be dark in material life. You may move freely with darkness and light, with light heart and mind open to duality. Living a paradox, you are where you focus. Let your heart guide you.